continued from part 1, where we learned Paul has 2 very rare diseases and what it's like to attend a PPA conference.
It's really just a gathering of everyone with periodic paralysis, doctors, patients, caregivers, and the PPA holds it like once a year normally. And so we just went there, shot it out of the dark. We were just hoping and praying that it would be periodic paralysis. We went there, it was revelatory, we met all sorts of people there. We met Dr. Cannon, and it was life-changing, to say the least.
You need backup. You need other people on this journey with you, and those conferences are those other people. You can talk about your tips and your tricks and what you do and what medications you're on. And
I always say come. I mean, I've gone to about 3 of them. Every single one, I've learned something new. I always still see people I know. It's great to communicate with and commiserate just with other patients. It's just nice to see other people with the same problem, with the same, dealing with the same thing, and to hear their tips and advice on how to navigate life.
he had myotonic events, he had flaccid paralysis events, and then he had the weakness events. And at first, when I was trying to catalog all this, because I was noting, I was writing every time he had an attack, like what did he eat, what did he do, what did this one feel like, what was the pain associated with it. It wasn't until later on that I could go back and say, oh, well, this one was due to brainstem compression, this one was due to low potassium. And I didn't figure that out until we went to the periodic paralysis conference. Because at the conference, I was able to see other people that we knew had hypokalemic periodic paralysis and see their attacks and what they look like. And that actually was that aha moment, like, oh, so that's not these ones, that's this one. And we were able to finally definitively separate them.
We saw other people having attacks. At that point, I realized I was having two problems. One, the Ehlers-Danlos and my brainstem being crushed. I was able to go get neurosurgery, fix that, all taken care of, it's done. I have a big scar on the back, all good. We also learned I was having periodic paralysis attacks, and I've been having them the whole time. And that started us down the whole rabbit hole of you need a new diagnosis, you need a nephrologist, you need everything, whole new team. Yeah, it was a journey.
It was worthwhile for us. It gave us the final piece in our puzzle. And then with that piece, I was able to go to a doctor and said, look, he's got periodic paralysis, this is his gene. And then instead of them, trying to figure out what he had, they just went with it. It's unfortunate and it's reality that you have to be careful what a doctor thinks about your mental problems. If you're, and I hate to say this, but a lot of females, we get emotional. Like I'll cry when I'm upset. And they see that and they're like, oh, she's just emotional and this is all, emotion-based driven. You have to take your emotion out of it. I know it's hard, but doctors aren't going to take you seriously.
My mindset at this point was, we're about to just lose it. Thank you, at last, problem solved, can start getting treatment. That's when I started actually getting medication treatments. At first, it started off with just shoveling potassium down my throat. It was probably about 2 years later that I still had problems. I wasn't happy with where I was at with my periodic paralysis journey. I was having too many attacks. Eventually, my mom remembered that at the PPA convention that we went to, we remember seeing Kavaius.
We've been to several conferences, and it was the second one, I think, that we heard about it. And we were like, oh, cool. And then sadly, you have all this paperwork and then you kind of forget about it. And we did, which is sad because we spend a lot of time with Paul injuring himself that we didn't need to. But the doctor that we went to at that time, he mentioned it because they got a rep in. And the rep said, hey, for your periodic paralysis patients, why don't you try this? We're like, oh my gosh, we forgot about that. Yes, please. He wrote a script for it. He did whatever he needed to do. And then it showed up in the mail, and we didn't know how much to take. So I called up and I said, hey, how much of this medication that just came in the mail do we take? And he just said, do a 1-to-1 exchange. I knew from the conference itself that wasn't correct. So I actually contacted the PPA. I sent an email and I said, look, this is gonna be our first time taking this medication, and this is what the doctor told us to take. Is that what you recommend? And I immediately got back from Dr. Leavitt, no. So we found another doctor, and then this other doctor said, you don't need to take Keveyis. He goes, it's the same thing as acetazolamide. And I said, no, it's not. I've already, talked to the doctors. I already have the information. I went to the conference. It's not the same thing. He goes, well, it is the same thing. And I said, well, it's not. Are you going to prescribe it? He goes, if you want, I'll do it because you're asking. So that's how we got it.
Gave it a try, and my symptoms did improve. So personally, I was thrilled. And that was the first time since I had started having periodic paralysis attacks that I was actually at the 1 a month that I wanted to be. It actually met my goal for like the first time since I actually started having attacks. So I was thrilled. What I can do now that I couldn't do before? Exercise. I used to have a ton of exercise-induced attacks, and I haven't had those since I started taking it. For me, that's been one of the biggest positives, because I like gardening. I like, who doesn't want to actually exercise? And being able to not fall flat on my face, or have to end up sitting on the couch for an hour because, I started off too quickly. I didn't have a warm up. Right? I can hop up. I can do it. I'm normal per se. It's great.
The results were just amazing, because before it's like any burst of energy for him or any sort of exercise at all would just have him collapse. This is terrible because he's got to keep his muscles strong, because without those muscles, he starts to dislocate. It was just a terrible merry-go-round we were on. We were just giddy with excitement. It completely eliminated his exercise-induced attacks.
Plan is go back to college in the next semester once my stomach's all fixed. Hopefully graduate with a degree, go to work in city government sort of thing. Workforce has always seemed like it's gonna be a challenge. I've had problems getting through school years most times because some health problem always crops up. So it's how I'm gonna get through a job is always gonna seem dodgy. I don't know how that's gonna go, but I still wanna give it a go. That's the goal in the end. Haven't given up on that, and not going to yet.
I worry about his future. All these conditions they don't have the best prognosis. Periodic paralysis can eventually lead to permanent muscle weakness, and that's a huge concern, because it's not like he had his youth to have fun. That was taken up, and then now his future is limited too. Will he ever be able to live by himself? Will he be able to work? Will he be able to finish school, get married, have a life? I don't know. I don't know what his future holds, and it's frightening. It's scary, because I want the best for him. That's why research is critical. It's critical because it's this is not the end. I know that there's research out there it's hope, and I need all the hope I can get.
If you would like to know more about periodic paralysis, visit periodicparalysis.org. And if you enjoyed this video and want more, hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and hit that bell so you don't miss any future videos. It really does help spread the word. You can view other videos about periodic paralysis by clicking the thumbnails to the right. If you have questions, just leave a comment below or reach out to us on social media. We'd love to hear from you.